change doesn't just shift what you do, it shifts who you are. And as you become someone new, you may find yourself mourning the pieces you had to leave behind. Now, that doesn't mean that you're off course. It just means you're shedding your skin. It means you're doing the real work. So if you find yourself crying for the old you, bless them. If you feel nostalgic for the person who didn't know better, thank them for surviving. And then keep going. Welcome to the Personal Mastery and Growth Podcast, where we explore the keys to unlocking your full potential and living your best life. I'm your host, Jose Johnson. Whether you're looking to make a breakthrough, overcome a challenge, or simply live with greater clarity, joy, and purpose, you'll find the tools and inspirations you need right here. So let's start your journey towards personal mastery and growth right now. Welcome back to the Personal Mastery and Growth Podcast, your go-to resource for practical tips, insightful research, and inspiring stories to help you unlock your full potential. I'm your host, Jose Johnson, and I'm an expert in the fields of mindfulness, mindset, and peak performance, and I'm so excited to have you here with me today. And today we're stepping into a side of growth that doesn't really get talked about nearly enough. Because while transformation is powerful, while change is necessary, it doesn't always feel good. In fact, sometimes it feels a lot like loss. So in this episode, we're exploring the emotional cost of change and why real growth can sometimes feel like grief. If you've ever felt unexpectedly sad, detached, or even guilty while making progress, well, this conversation will help you understand why and how to move through it with clarity and compassion. When we talk about personal growth, we typically highlight the things that we gain. Things like greater clarity, new habits, stronger relationships, a deeper sense of purpose, a mindset rooted in possibility instead of limitation. But we often leave out the things that we lose. And real transformation, well, it involves both. Growth is not just about adding, it's also about subtracting and sometimes surrendering. You see, when you commit to becoming someone new, you're not just building, you're also breaking. You're breaking old patterns, dissolving roles, and stepping out of identities that you have made carried for years. And that process, well, it can be disorienting. You may be letting go of relationships that were built around your old identity, habits that gave you comfort, even if they were unhealthy, roles like the fixer, the high achiever, or the quiet one. Emotional patterns like people-pleasing, avoidance, or hyper-independence. Even dreams or goals that no longer fit who you're becoming. And each of those things has emotional weight. They were familiar. They felt safe. Some even helped you survive. So when you start releasing them, a part of you mourns. Look, I've seen this time and time again in my clients, and I've lived it personally. That moment when you feel conflicted, you're proud of your progress, but somehow also sad. It's confusing because no one told you that becoming your best self might require grieving your former self. All right, so let's take a moment and look at the science. Your brain is not just a logic processor. It's also an emotional pattern recognition system. It's constantly scanning for familiarity, routine, and reinforcement. And change, even positive change, creates disruption. And that disruption is experienced by your brain and your body as a kind of instability. In neuroscience, we refer to this as prediction error. When the brain encounters something unexpected, it experiences stress. So if you've spent decades operating from a mindset of scarcity and you suddenly begin adopting a mindset of abundance, your nervous system goes, whoa, wait a minute, this is unfamiliar. That means it's not safe. You may feel tension, emotional swings, even physical symptoms like fatigue or brain fog, not because something's wrong, but because your inner system is being restructured. Now, here's where grief enters the picture. According to research published in the journal Social, Cognitive, and Affective Neuroscience, the brain areas activated by emotional loss, areas like the anterior cingulate cortex and the insula, overlap with the same pain centers activated during physical pain. That means that your brain literally experiences emotional change, especially loss of identity or relationships, as a kind of neurological wound. So when you stop being the person who always says yes, when you stop shrinking your voice to make others comfortable, when you stop living by someone else's expectations, you're healing. But it also hurts. You may find yourself missing who you used to be, not because that version of you was healthy or aligned, but because it was familiar. And our brains are wired to prefer the predictable over the uncertain. Now, one of the most powerful realizations that I've had, both as a coach and as a human being, is this. You can grieve something even though it wasn't good for you. You can grieve an unhealthy relationship. You can grieve a job that you outgrew. You can even grieve the version of you who used to feel comfortable by staying small. Remember that grief doesn't mean that you're broken. It just means that you're alive. And that means that you're evolving. All right, so how do you know if you're navigating this kind of emotional residue? Well, here are some subtle and not so subtle signs that you may be grieving your own growth. 1, you feel disconnected from your current life, even when it's better. There's a strange emptiness that follows change. You wonder, shouldn't I feel happier? 2, you feel guilt or discomfort about setting boundaries or saying no. You're choosing yourself, but part of you still feels like it's wrong. 3, you miss parts of your old self, even the parts that were struggling. There's a strange nostalgia for the simplicity or predictability of your previous life. 4, you feel tired, anxious, or emotionally flat after making real progress. Your nervous system is recalibrating. Your old emotional anchors have been removed. And 5, you feel like no one around you understands what you're going through. As you grow, your old tribe may not resonate anymore, which can create a sense of emotional isolation. And here's the paradox. The more internal work you do, the more emotionally complex the journey becomes. Because as your awareness increases, so does your capacity to feel deeply. And that includes the pain of becoming someone new. Hey, if you're enjoying this episode and you're ready to take your growth to the next level, check out my online course, The Mindset Makeover. It's a step-by-step system to help you identify the beliefs that are holding you back and replace them with the mindsets that you need to thrive. You'll get tools, guided exercises, and a clear path forward, whether you're stuck, starting over, or just ready to level up. Learn more and enroll now at josejohnson.com/mindset, because real change starts from the inside out. All right, so what do we do when growth feels heavy? Well, here are 5 practical tools that can help you move through the grief of growth with clarity and compassion. Number 1, normalize the grief. Remind yourself, I'm not going backwards. I'm just grieving as I move forward. This single reframe can help you stay the course without judging your emotions. Number 2, create a symbolic closure ritual. Do something like write a farewell letter to your old self. Name what you're letting go of. Thank that version of you for doing the best that they could. Then close the chapter intentionally. Burn the letter, bury it, or simply put it away. Number 3, make space to feel without fixing. Not everything needs a solution. Sometimes what we need is permission to feel. So set aside 10 to 15 minutes for intentional reflection, journaling, or stillness. Let the emotions move through you. Number 4, find soul-aligned support. Surround yourself with people who understand that growth isn't always pretty. Now, these aren't just cheerleaders. They're companions for the hard parts of the path. And number 5, anchor into identity expansion. Keep a written reminder of who you are becoming. This can be a vision statement, a quote, or a single affirmation like, I'm becoming someone who honors my truth, even when it's uncomfortable. This gives your nervous system a sense of orientation when everything feels new. So here's your challenge for this week. Take 10 minutes to reflect on this question. What part of yourself or of your life are you grieving, even as you grow? Write it down. Acknowledge the loss. Then on the same page, write, I am making space for, and then complete the sentence. You may be letting go of comfort, but you're making space for alignment. You may be releasing validation, but you're stepping into self-trust. And if you'd like support identifying the mindsets that are hardest to release and the ones you're ready to step into, make sure to take the free mindset assessment at josejohnson.com/mindset. It's a great starting point for aligning your beliefs with the life that you're ready to leave. Change doesn't just shift what you do. It shifts who you are. And as you become someone new, you may find yourself mourning the pieces you had to leave behind. Now, that doesn't mean that you're off course. It just means you're shedding your skin. It means you're doing the real work. So if you find yourself crying for the old you, bless them. If you feel nostalgic for the person who didn't know better, thank them for surviving. And then keep going. Because on the other side of grief is growth. And on the other side of discomfort is freedom. All right, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Personal Mastery and Growth Podcast. If this episode resonated, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing it with someone who might need a little light on their own path. So until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and keep showing up for the life that you're meant to lead. And remember, it is what it is, but it becomes what you make it. So make it great. Thanks for tuning in. Before we wrap up, I just want to remind you that the information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional advice or treatment. While the content of this podcast is based on research and personal experience, everyone's situation is unique, and the advice given may not be applicable to all. Always consult a qualified professional before making significant changes in your life. The Personal Mastery and Growth Podcast is recorded at the So Good Media Studios located in the Candy Factory, a co-working space in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.